And welcome to Imagination Fun Time. I'm your host, Brandon Devine. Hello, how are you folks today? It is, I don't even know what today is. What is it? Sunday, February 18th. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl thanks to Taylor Swift. How awesome. That was amazing. That was a great game. I've been feeling sick this week, folks. I've been fighting flu all week. Didn't do any open mics. That flu was kicking my ass. But feeling better, feeling a bit better today. Going to travel, going to go into Missouri to do an open mic. But today, I want to do a special podcast with a very special guest. It's a man that I met about a year ago here in the open mic scene here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. He is a very, very funny comedian. I think he's funny. I don't know what the crowds do sometimes but the crowds, they don't know shit. Folks, my guest today is local comedian Caleb Hickerson.
Woo, yay, hi. It's great to be here in my own garage as we're recording this.
This is a very Arkansas garage. There is a truck with flame decals.
Don't describe the murder scenes. Like
murder scenes.
This is a
man's garage. This is a man's garage. It's missing the fridge with the beer in it.
That it is. I used to have a fridge in my garage when I was in Utah. I did have a mini fridge.
I feel like that was always a sign. That was like a sign of like when you were a kid.
When I moved.
When you were a kid and you knew your family was doing well, they had a fridge in the garage and it was loaded with good stuff.
Right, like Natty Ice, Bud Light, right?
We had a similar version of that, but it wasn't in our garage. It was in our basement. My dad, during the brief, maybe few years that my mom and dad were actually married and living together in Buffalo, my dad got a job at some food place that required him to store lots of product, like frozen meat and products and stuff like that. And so we had this huge full-size freezer.
Okay.
Open fridge freezer down in our basement. And we had another fridge down there just to help store stuff. So it was always cool. We had this fridge this freezer was always just full of random shit that I don't even know if my mom used.
My grandparents, they both retired, or my maternal grandparents, they retired out of ConAgra. If you don't know what ConAgra is, just go to the frozen food section, look on the back of the boxes. It's all over the place. But they've got a big plant down in Russellville, and they retired out of there. And their garage had, of course, you had the fridge that had the kegerator in it for my granddad.
Nice.
But then there were two of those big, tall, upright freezers, like deep freezes. And between all the, venison and shit that we would haul out of the woods, add that with, oh my God, there's no telling how many frozen dinners, lasagna, just all kinds of shit, dude. It was packed in there.
So that was one experience I never had with my grandfather, going hunting. I remember one time getting terrified one Sunday morning. I was outside my back.
Over the flu. I think you brought it over to me. Anyway, thanks, asshole.
Anything I can do to help.
Oh yeah.
Gotta get the antibodies, man.
Gotta get me off this rock. Okay. Anyway.
But I heard a gunshot one time, just a shotgun blast from the woods across the street. It scared the fuck out of me. I ran inside Mom, I heard a gunshot.
I heard a lot of those growing up. No.
Not in my town. My town was a very idealistic, upper middle class, rich kind of town. We had a country club. And
you never played the midnight game of gunshots or fireworks?
No. When I was a teenager, a few times me and my friends, when we had cars, we went ding dong ditch. But it actually wasn't. It was an alternative take on ding dong ditch. It was Brandon runs up to the door. And then we drive the fuck away and leave him stranded.
Yeah, more like Ding Dong Ditch You. That's what
it was, my friends were dicks. But that's New York for you.
Triple DB, Ding Dong Ditch Brandon.
I mean, you grew up, where'd you grow up? Down here?
No, well, I mean Arkansas. I'm from Pine Bluff. I went and moved. I've lived there all through high school. Same. I mean, my parents still live in the same house that I grew up in.
That's awesome.
And but no, I left there 18. Went to this little community college about 2 hours away, and my grandparents were closer, like 30-minute drive, as opposed to 2 hours. So I moved in with them. And that was where I kind of got established in that area and all that, and then eventually move up here some years later.
That's pretty. I mean,
I've only been in Fayetteville like literally right at about 3 years now. So
yeah, same
I'm
here.
still very new to the area as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, never. If you told me that like when I was like 15, 14, that at some point in your life, you're going to be living for several years in Arkansas, I probably would have cried. I probably would have cried and been like, why? What went wrong in my life that I have to go live in Arkansas?
So did you get some culture shock when you moved down here?
Yeah, because it's like, growing up in Buffalo.
That wasn't just like normal autistic reactions to shit in general, just...
Actually, it was finally when I was here that I took all the tests and learned about my autism.
People that don't know us are going to hear this. Well, first of all, no one's going to hear this, but if they do, they're going to think I'm a big asshole for just being like, are you sure it was culture shock or was it autism? Like,
probably a bit of both. I mean, it's definitely it was less of a culture shock from my childhood in Buffalo to here than it was from like when I actually moved here. Because when I moved here, I had just I moved here from right out of living 3 years in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. So
there's a little bit of a like growing up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo's such a weird place because you have a major metropolitan city, like a major city, and then you have the suburbs, and then you just have country. You just have literally everything you have here in Arkansas, we have in New York. It's just farmland.
And you also got to deal with like when you say New York, everybody instantly thinks New York City.
Oh yeah, like, everybody thinks New York City.
Yeah, no, dude, there's trees and shit. Like
there's trees. I mean, you go to Central Park and Prospect Park. There's trees.
Yeah, that actually surprised me. The one time I've been to New York City was just how like even south of Soho and stuff, like it's surprisingly green in the middle of a concrete jungle. Like every block has some like little nook park, with a bench off to the side, and I was just like, this is like really nice. Like other than the overflowing trash, but like, hey, there's how many million people there?
Well, there is the whole construction, the whole concept.
Yeah,
of,
like it wasn't hard to like get away, and it was easy to tune out like the noise. Like there's almost there's so much noise that almost just like it just fades out and you don't even hear it. And so like you can just sit on a park bench and stare at a pigeon for an hour and just like reset.
Like
the brain.
when I was younger, when I was like teenager and like right out of high school, I always talked about like I want to move to New York. I want to move because that was like still when I just wanted to be an actor. And New York, and I was always just so against moving to LA, and like I wanted to move to New York. New York's a shit. And then I finally went to film school, the New York Film Academy, for 3 months in New York City. Did this really cool 8-9 week filmmaking program, and I lived in a dorm in Brooklyn Heights, and then just took the train to Manhattan every day.
How long of a train ride was that?
Literally like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say
one stop.
Yeah,
one stop right across the river. Would come out like Bowling Green, like right near Wall Street.
Yeah,
because my school was right at Battery Park, so like right at the edge of the end of the island. But that's what tripped me out the most, and that's like when I really started to think about like something's wrong. Like this is weird. The noise, the constant noise, just like I wasn't used to that. I've been going to New York City my whole life, but I hadn't been like there on like a living constant basis. So like just the constant noise was so kind of overwhelming at times. And then I would go during those few months, I would go to my dad's in Connecticut, or at Thanksgiving I went up to my aunt and uncles in White Plains and stuff like that. And it was just the biggest relief just Oh, silence.
Yeah.
I don't hear, like, the noise of everything. I was there, though. I will tell you this, because you might find this funny. I was there, what was it, November 2016.
Okay.
Do you remember what was happening in this country?
Yeah, I got a vague recollection of what happened.
I'm referencing for those.
No, fuck it. Let him figure it out. You got to have a baseline.
When the day happened, when the day America became great again, apparently.
Yeah, there you go. Put it in code.
I was in Brooklyn.
Oh shit.
And I was honestly I was a bit surprised. I remember I was really surprised.
There were a lot of protests and stuff there.
Yeah, there were, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, pretty much all the big cities.
But from my remembrance of that day, like the morning after, like that first morning when the election had been called at 2 a.m. or whatever. I got up, it was 7 a.m., eat some breakfast, get my stuff, go into the subway. It was so eerie. You heard the noise and background of the city,
right.
The cars,
right,
the construction, all that kind of stuff. But nobody was talking. No humans were talking. Everybody was silent and looking down.
Kind of what the fuck? Yeah,
exactly. Everybody. And then I get to class. And my teacher comes in, and you're just you know what? We're just gonna watch a movie today. And I remember we watched Whiplash.
Just depression, like a third plane hit, just.
Basically, yeah. It was that was a good way to these. It was the weirdest thing, just not seeing anybody in New York City talking, and just everybody just walking silent, head down, a dystopian future.
Yeah,
and it was raining too, which was
see
also
how that
perfect.
Would be weird. I could see how that would be strange.
And then we got an email from my school saying, if anybody needs counseling, if anybody needs to talk about this, if anybody is traumatized by this horrific event, you can come talk to us.
Back, you could be if you need counseling, if you could go back after everything that's happened, go back to them, and be if you need counseling, look, we've peeked into the future. Go on, kill yourself. It's just, there ain't nothing, if you're already panicking, if you're already flipping out, it's not going to be good for you. This is going to be wait till Rona gets here, and they'll be who's Rona? Be you'll see.
Oh my god, dude, that was. I escaped Los Angeles at the perfect time and didn't even realize it because it was. I remember it was November 2019. I came here. To Arkansas.
Yeah.
My mom and stepdad already moved here, and I came here for Thanksgiving, and I just had a breakdown in my mom's kitchen. Just I was 3 years into living in LA, had not much better off today. I only had a few $100s in my bank account.
Just hitting mics, trying to break through.
Sharing a room with a roommate who I actively had murderous thoughts about because he was just
God.
Oh, he was a terrible, not paying rent, literally screaming racial things out of our window, fighting with people, stole my food, stole.
Sounds like he had a death wish.
Oh, he's a piece of shit. He was a complete piece of shit. But then dealing with other roommate issues, just lack of artistic success. At that point, I'd been signed my first manager, but it wasn't really going that well. It was also weird because she wanted
at least you signed something. Somebody or was it more of a pity hire, a pity sign?
I think it was more. I honestly always think it was more of a pity hire.
Okay. I was just being a dick. You didn't have to agree.
No, it's so true. I think she just she saw her clientele. She's a black woman, and all of her clientele are mainly black.
So you
actors.
were the diversity hire.
I was the diversity hire. I was the diversity hire.
I would never say that into a microphone ever again. No.
No, I mean...
I feel you.
I'll accept my place in Hollywood. If I gotta be the diversity hire, if it means I get to play a Jedi, I'll do it.
Oh, that's what we need is another white Jedi.
Dude, we need a ginger... we need a ginger Jedi, which...
Well,
they already
didn't
have the guy from the video game.
Wasn't Obi-Wan's beard kind of red? Then you and
Yeah.
McGregor have the kind of ginger beard thing going on.
I guess a little bit. It was more like brown, auburn, whatever. So part of this podcast, Caleb, is big. Why I started this podcast is to like to help ease the insane autistic mind of mine that just constantly keeps thinking about movies and TV and like wanting to do that. When you were growing up, what did you enjoy watching?
What did I enjoy watching?
Besides Skinamax.
Besides Skinamax, yeah, good reference there. No, parents always had a cable subscription. There was never really any limitations on what I could watch. You'll appreciate this, actually. Fun little movie trivia, and this might have an effect on the person you see today. When I was a little kid, probably about 5 or 6 years old, let's see, do the math. Yeah, no, I couldn't have been over 5 or 6. But my favorite movie that I watched over and over again when it like came out on VHS and stuff was Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And good old I'll be back and all that stuff. And I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, and all of that. And like it was just like my favorite movie because it was cool. Like the liquid metal guy, what was he, the
T-1000.
T-1000, yeah. What's already an 800 T-800?
T-800, I think.
Yeah, I think it's T-8. But anyway, yeah. So there's your audibles. We can go down the wrong hole here. But anyway, it was like my favorite movie. Well, if you know anything about the franchise, he's not like a good guy or a bad guy. He's just a machine given a mission. It's just whatever programming he's got. And this particular one has. So in T2, Arnold is essentially a good guy. He's a protector role. He's there to safeguard and all this. Well, my parents wouldn't let me watch the first movie for the longest. They wouldn't let me watch the first Terminator. Not because of the violence, not because of the, sex scene with Linda Hamilton and all that, like where they make John Carter or Connor and all this. But it was, they didn't think I would be able to handle Arnold being, like, the Terminator being a bad guy.
Why were you such an obsessed like Conan fan or whatever that like you're like
Conan at that point.
He can't be bad.
But no,
why is he shooting all the cops?
Well, no, I just think it's funny that it was like it had nothing to do with like the content as far as like this is how progressive some like Southern blue collar fans of Reagan, like Reagan Republicans can be in some ways oddly progressive is like it was, they didn't censor content, like all this kind of stuff. I remember my mom bought me a Limp Bizkit album, Bird Rock, real quick. She bought me the Limp Bizkit Significant Other, but she'd bought it at Walmart before she realized that Walmart had only started selling edited versions of CDs. Can't have those obscene rap lyrics and all of
Walmart.
That. Can't say fuck. Ooh, no, can't do that. We'll sell movies that still have full nudity on the shelf.
We'll sell horror films.
And romance novels around the corner on the next aisle, but no fuck on the CD. And she offered to take it back. She was like, "Oh, I'll take it back." And I was like,
"Dude, that's such a cool mom."
Right.
You told your mom, "There's no swearing in the CD," and she's like, "Oh, my bad, I'll take it back." That's so cool.
Oh man.
That's awesome.
But back to the movie is like to show you how like I said, oddly progressive. Their concern was that I wouldn't be able, my childlike mind wouldn't be able to process the fact that he's not like really there as a person, because he's not a person. He's just a programmed machine. He's going to do whatever is necessary to either kill you, as it is in the first one. Like there's thousands of this dude, man. Like they didn't think I could understand that part of like that. This is just like it looks like a dude, but it's not a dude. Like that's a robot, man.
They were so worried that your childlike mind could not understand what cyborgs and androids are all about.
Systems.
Oh my god. Well, Dude, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and now we're 20 minutes into a podcast on a thing that like is essentially Sky. Like that thing could turn into a fucking transformer at any minute.
Oh yeah, no, this iPad will definitely.
It's sitting on my desk in my garage, and it's making.
It'll be the Trapper Keeper episode of South Park where it'll just like launch out and like attack you, and then it'll turn, and then suddenly like. It's gonna
shit starts blowing up. Like
yeah,
Michael Bay.
A giant Akira-like monster is gonna take over Fayetteville. We're gonna destroy the stadium.
We're gonna have a kaiju situation. I should say kaiju, not kaiju, because that sounded somewhat anti-Semitic. But I'm a Godzilla fan. I got
dude.
One
You gotta watch.
there, so.
You gotta watch the new show Tokyo Vice. The show Tokyo Vice. It's about a Jewish American guy.
Yeah, see, I don't do a lot of TV,
making his way in Japan, and it's just like, dude, many of them are just so anti-Semitic.
But see, and get back to like you asked, like what I watched growing up. I watched a lot of movies growing up, but obviously a lot of TV. But like now, like it's got to be. I'm very selective on the shows I start because it's like so many of them they start and then they just don't get renewed, and so like everything wants to leave off for a season 2. Like I kind of like a lot of the British style. Like there's not any show I can name off the top of my head like current because I haven't watched anything current really, but. Like they start a series and like they know it's only going to run for like 2 seasons, so like the plot is cohesive. They don't go off on all these different ways. They don't do all this setup in the hopes that it's popular and can get renewed and be we can milk this tit dry.
A lot of people. There's a lot of people in the film industry that just want more instant success.
And like I know I'm doing this thing, but like I genuinely kind of value my time. So it's.
I know you do because you're a very special person.
Yeah, very special. I'm a big deal around here. If you didn't know.
Open micer comedians
around these parts.
You gotta understand, we're comedians. Our time is very valuable.
Yeah.
We have to spend our time thinking of horrible things to say.
Of really dumb things. But no, it's like so a lot of shows it seems that I don't really get into because it's like I don't really want to commit that much of my life to sitting in front of a screen. So I've kind of gotten back to movies. Like I'll scroll through whatever streaming thing, and I see something that looks interesting.
Yeah,
but it's like, wait, what is this? Season 1 of 4? Nope, fuck it. Like I'm not doing it because it's like you're not going to wrap me in for another 2 months of binge watching when I could be doing what
unless
you
it's
just said.
unless it's really good. Unless you just I didn't really get into Game of Thrones until
that's the
like
one
season
that I didn't really
7.
Yeah.
Until really around season 7
when it started to suck.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
There's always people that go back and forth. Like, I still enjoyed season 8, but like it was definitely, you could tell like the lacklusterness of it.
Yeah.
But
I'm very proud of this as far as season 8 goes. The final episode, you can go back. I think this is still left public. It's the day before season 8 premiered. The final episode premiered. I went ahead and made a prediction post.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was like 70% accurate. Like I predicted the whole like Brienne, spoiler alert, the whole Brienne like becoming Lord Commander of the Kingsguard? Is it no? What? Yeah, Lord Commander. Yeah. It's like the boss of the Kingsguard basically, and finishing out Jaime's story. I was like, she's gonna be the one that writes out his pages of the stuff that he actually did. Because after he did like literally the most noble thing that set up this whole deal, like that's I could go on. I don't want to really get into Game of Thrones because we're coming up on the halfway point. So I could dominate that for several episodes, but still waiting on the last books. But anyway, Martin's not my bitch, so I wait patiently.
I mean,
I want to go on record as saying that I am not pressuring Martin to finish. I just hope that he does.
I think the next time something like really bad happens, like the next like phase of like whatever military conflicts we're getting into, the next time like the public
are in
like whatever just keeps escalating to the next level,
right.
And like the public starts like really yelling online like what is going on, I think that is when they're going to be like, all right, the final book of Game of Thrones is coming out.
That'll be the distraction.
The distraction.
Right.
Be like, oh shit, we got him for like another like 4 months.
Yeah, like they're gonna call up Martin in New Mexico and be like, hey, listen, it's national security matter now, so we're gonna need that final book there, fatty. Let's go. Come on.
You gotta stop playing online games, dude.
Put your little fucking conductor hat on and get to typing.
Get the conductor hat on. How is it?
It's like, we got a drone circling your house and a keylogger. If we don't hear some clicking, there's going to be some explosions, all right?
Maybe it's like that conspiracy theory. Maybe George R.R. Martin's been dead for years, and it's just like a body double. And like they're just slowly trying to figure out a way to like let the public know, like, yeah, he died, and like they're never going to finish Game of Thrones. Like, whatever.
Never going to finish. God.
So like... Yeah, like when I was growing up, there was only one show I was ever told by my mom I was not allowed to watch.
All right.
And it turned into the show that has basically become my religion for life, South Park.
Okay.
But I can always...
Admittedly, I have not watched South Park for years, but when I was in high school, that was when the movie came out, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and... I think I ruined Blockbuster's one of their copies of it, because like I remember one time we had to take it back, and I literally was just like, I want to rent this again. Like I'm like, just scan it and get it back to me, because like I'm going to continue watching this several times.
Well, that's what did it for her. Is I was in 5th grade, and she had just started dating my now stepdad, who is a Jewish man. And my mom, I was in 5th grade, and my mom let me rent a movie, because I had like a friend sleeping over, and I said, can we rent the South Park movie? And for some reason she did. I don't know why, she didn't know about South Park.
It was that or Schindler's List, right? Which,
I mean, it's a good point. Like, should we teach the kid about history, or let the kid laugh?
Yeah.
Oh God! So I watch it with my friend, and fucking hilarious.
Yeah, because if you laugh at Schindler's List, we're gonna go ahead and
funny thing.
Maybe I thought you should show like 5-year-old Schindler's List, and if they laugh, go ahead and lock them away.
That is what kindergarten should be about. Like,
just showing kids
when
Schindler's List.
We reshape the American education system. Every kindergarten class, like first week of school, you have to sit and watch Schindler's List. It's just those kids would all be so confused. These kids all raised on like iPads.
If there's
like
a girl in a red dress, you just take her out of the class for no reason. Oh no! And like explain it to her, but like don't explain. I don't know. It's just anyway. This is gonna get weird. Anyway, back to what was it?
South Park.
South Park movie. Yeah.
When I actually remember. Okay, so I watched that. You were in high school when that came out, so you were lucky. I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
I'm 10 years old.
Wait, what year did it come out?
99. So
I was like going in. I'm class of 04, so like I was going. I was exited. Yeah, early teens.
You're early teens. Yeah. I was still at the age where like I didn't even learn like what to do with my boners yet.
Yeah,
and shit like so I knew nothing. And then I remember being so confused with the part of the clitoris. What does that mean? Like, what? Huh?
Yeah, when they show it, like, it appears and it's
the giant clitoris. I'm just like, huh? I was so confused. I just like, what the fuck is that?
Or just like, what the hell is he talking about in general? When it's like, because what it's Stan, isn't it Stan that asks Jeff, like, how do you make a woman like you or something like that?
And that's easy. You just gotta find the clitoris.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh shit.
And you're like,
say that out loud.
You're in 5th grade going, the what?
But Chef's not wrong.
No,
he's not wrong on that one. If you find gentlemen, if you are listening, or ladies, if you are trying to please the lady in your life, you just gotta dig deep, and find a clitoris.
It's not really that buried. I don't.
Well, I mean, if you're
dig deep, like wait, what?
Well, I mean, it depends on your partner. You know, it might be like some cushion you gotta dig through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some big girls.
I didn't see that angle. All right.
But my mom...
Sounds like it would
But
hurt.
so anyways, my stepdad So I had it rented. So
Yeah, back to your Jewish stepdad.
I was rewatching the movie one day. I still had it rented for a few days, so I was rewatching it one night. And I was watching it stupidly, like, in the main TV in our living room and not, like, down in the basement or something. And, they're saying all sorts of stuff, like, about, Cartman saying all sorts of anti-Semitic slurs and stuff like that. And my stepdad's like, what the hell are you listening to? Like, what? No. And he like, just turned it off and is like, we're going to wait till your mom gets home. Like, I'll show her this. And I'm like, come on. He's like, no. And I didn't understand why until, like, years later. It's like, oh, yeah, I can see why he's kind of upset at that. Because he grew up in, like, he was born in 1950, and he grew up in Florida and shit like that.
Oh.
No.
Party foul.
Party foul.
Yeah, I chipped it. Oh, well. The handle was already broke off.
Yeah.
Need to get a new one.
I mean, when you were growing up though, like, were you like a big '90s like Nickelodeon fan?
Yeah, man. Ren and Stimpy all the way. Like
one of the earlier episodes.
I had the Ren and Stimpy video game on my Super Nintendo Entertainment System. How is that '90s enough for you?
That's pretty '90s.
There you go.
My friend had a Super Nintendo. One of my friends, Mike, but we never played it.
Feel free to hit that whenever you want.
Oh, I'm good for right now. One of the earlier episodes of my podcast I did was about Salute Your Shorts. Did you ever watch that one?
No, that one was a little later. I was getting out of. I was always a little behind on stuff. Like I never really was like into the super pop. Like it was. And this isn't a complaint or anything. Like I don't want anybody to think I'm talking shit on my parents, but like the N64 had been out for like 4 years by the time I got one.
Oh.
But like I didn't care because like by the time I got it, like I'd either already like played a lot of the games I liked at friends' houses, and so it kind of worked out because it was also like peak Blockbuster time. So like
you had a few years.
I wasn't really into a lot of RPGs like Zelda and stuff like that at the time. So I was mostly just playing like racing games or some fighting games. So like, you beat through those like little stories and levels. Well, then you just turned it in 5 days. You had a 5-day rental. You could games weren't so long that you couldn't like basically beat them in a weekend. You could still like beat even a small RPG or something back then in like a weekend. You could play the whole game. So there was no need to buy it and keep it. So I only had like 4 games that I ever owned for my N64.
I was always very, very thankful.
More
like
90s shit for you there. No microtransactions.
I mean, I actively sit here right now with a Triforce tattooed on my back.
Okay, don't show me.
Because I grew. One day you'll be lucky. One day you'll be lucky.
One day in a green room.
One day in the green room.
Far, far in the future. Hopefully a long way in the future.
We got the N64. That was, I think, our first game system. And then we just got like, but the N64 has always been like, I still have it. I still have the same one we've had.
Yeah.
They got us at the end of '99.
I sold mine during the pandemic.
And Ocarina of Time became like the
it was a movement, dude. Like
it's what I told like my therapist and like
it's still
the
top
psychologist.
ranked. I'm not even that big into video games anymore, and it's just like still constantly is at the top of any.
Like everything artistic, anything artistic, creative I had done in life, from
kind of
theater,
based on that.
all was sparked by playing Ocarina of Time. That entertainment, that imagination of just like, oh, like this is fun, this is cool. Like it just sparked something.
I have a game that I could kind of relate to that. Mine would be Diablo.
Never played Diablo.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh. Woo. That was my jam on PC.
Oh, PC.
Yeah, like Diablo 2, and all of that. I used to play LAN multiplayer, local area network. Yeah, it's like dial-up multiplayer shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, frustrating connections, but when it worked, it was fun because it was like, oh my god, like it's 2002.
Did you ever get into SimCity?
Yeah.
My elementary school, it was the end of the '90s. So
Your
like
elementary school.
Elementary
School.
See, on top of the autism, that's where dyslexia.
Would you like to hear the southern/proper way to say that word?
Sure.
Elementary.
Elementary.
There you go. You got to bumble it all together.
Elementary. Diabetes.
Yep, pretty much. That's it.
But
you got to brim.
You know how like every elementary school, like I had like computer labs back in the day.
Yeah, we had those.
And
we had computers down here.
They taught us in New York that people in Arkansas didn't. That you all lived in like shacks.
No, it's Louisiana, man. We didn't find the Cajuns till like the 30s. Where's
Deliverance filmed? Is that Louisiana?
No,
that was Georgia.
Yeah, I think it was filmed in Georgia.
Fuck. Anyway, our computer labs, they always had Sim City programmed into all of them. Mm-hmm. So like you could sign up for like computer club, which is like you just show up
to play Sim City.
Yeah, you just show up to school an hour early and just play on the computers in computer lab, and like you could just surf the web or play whatever games. But I just remember like it was always like you had to. Your game would only be saved to like a specific computer. Yeah, so you would like
right. There's no cloud saving in this time period. Yeah.
No, not in the early 2000s. I started elementary school in 98. So like there was none of that shit. It was just one computer. That was it. Yeah. But it was just so fun to like building a city and then just being complete sociopaths and being like, how can we destroy this alien invasions and tornadoes and
flying over.
Oh yeah, like all that crazy shit.
Yeah, no, I would do that on purpose. I'd build like as many fire departments as I could tax the motherfuckers for and all this kind of stuff, and then like basically just set the town on fire and see how quick they could put it out.
And then I remember Roller Coaster Tycoon.
But that was another one I played. That was so fun. That was another one I played religiously.
And I actively remember one time being at a friend's house, and we were playing on the computer. I want to say it was my friend Nick's house, but like he had like some family members over, and like I think it was one of his uncles, and we were down in his basement playing it, and his uncle came in and be like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, and he's just like, what the hell kind of video game is that? You're just building stuff?
I know. How long did it take you to figure out when you got, because like you had to play so many levels, like on the original, you had to play like so many levels to unlock like the more intricate, complicated coasters and
I never got that far. I gave up so quickly.
But you get to a point pretty quick where you can start building with the one that have the launch capability. Like you can launch them out of the station at like 60 miles an hour.
Oh fuck!
And so like if you ever played it long enough, it usually takes you about 30 seconds to figure out that you can build an elevated one of those over a walkway. And then you can put a one-way sign and catch all the people so they'll come through it. But then as they come back, it's like, oh, you can't go this way. So now they're stuck on this like 8 foot or like 8 square long strip, right? And they're just going back and forth, and they're getting mad. Oh, they're getting pissed. They gotta pee. They're hungry. They're hungry, right?
These virtual people are getting angry.
Like if they had cell phones, dude, it is just 1-star reviews all across the board, right? But you know what? It doesn't matter because here's like the 60-foot coaster that since it has a launch feature, it doesn't always have to have a return track because you can make it like the Mr. Freeze where it goes and then it uses gravity to return to the station, right?
Yeah.
Okay? They get Newtonian with it. Well, you don't have to put who says you have to do this, so you can just build that coaster to where it launches a car full of people at this strip. Pissed off people that are trapped in this park.
We just wanted to come.
You could kill like 300 people.
We just wanted to come to Six Flags and have a nice time.
And it's at that moment in time you realize that if you could peer into the future, like with a click of a mouse, that you've got no problem killing that many people on the screen. You're like, hey man, I could be a drone pilot.
Yeah. And, how many drone pilots do you think just grew up playing like military video games?
I don't know, but that's a joke no one's gonna hear. Unfortunately, I hope this podcast would. I wish that segment goes. I may clip that segment just for that one weak ass punchline I threw at the end there that I was thinking of as I was saying that. So
it's a good joke. It's a really fair point.
We'll riff, but anyway, military video games. I don't know, man, because like it used to be a thing you got made fun of. Like I distinctly remember. This is true. This is 100% true. This is no embellishment or anything. Actually, when I was in basic training in 2008. Our dorm chief, like when they would ask you, like we're graduating, like we're in our, it's called your blues week. It's like the final week. You're actually, when you walk around, you're in like your not your full coat and everything, but just like the blue shirt and tie and all that shit. You know, you're in blues. You know, you're not in camo, and so it's like it's pretty much you're done. Just like don't fuck up and get out of here, basically. And so we're sitting around and it's like they're asking us like what made you join, like just like a candid conversation. They're not screaming at you or anything. And our dorm chief said that it was what made him join the Air Force was like the Top Gun video game or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Well, and dude, like, you should have. No, the laughter was
not
way
the
worse
movie,
than
the
that.
video game.
Like, yeah, the movie was, like your reaction was mild compared, like, you know,
compared to
because like, you know, the reason I joined was like I've had a steady girlfriend and like I was going broke at my job and I'm like, if she gets pregnant, I'm screwed. And so it's like, let's just do military, you know, and all this. And so, but you know, this guy's like, I like this video game, and you know, and he got laughed at, but like in hindsight, dude, like.
There's a lot of
like, come on, man! Like,
I mean, the future of military is going to be robotics.
Money means nothing to the U.S. military, really. At the end of the day, and it's like
they have all of it.
The drones, like any drone strike that goes on anywhere in the world, like I don't care where the drone is, the guy that pushes the button that drops the bomb is sitting in Vegas, like, or in one of the bases in Nevada. I forget which one it is, but like,
well, yeah, I've seen like those.
The guy that pushes the button that kills like 20 people in a drone strike, like,
sitting
in
like a
Wendy's for lunch. Like it's
sitting in literally like a box container, small,
right.
much smaller than this garage.
So it's like,
and it's like at the end of the day,
how is that any different from the Top Gun? I mean. You know, like, okay, you know, we laughed at him then, but now it's like, if we could go back, we owe that dude an apology for laughing at him. That's a fucking valid reason.
I mean, it's just it's also the same as like
you damn near, and that was the other thing, too, is like, you would laugh at all the guys that thought like, well, do I get any kind, a lot of the shit was made up, but it was like, you know, like, you can get E2 if you're an Eagle Scout or something like that, you know. Well, I'm like, you know, level 32 prestige on Call of Duty. Where's my extra rank? I've basically been like combat training, and that's a little silly because like getting shot at in a video game is a lot different than getting shot at in real life. Like
it actually hurts.
Like you don't even have to have experienced that. You can just think for half a second and figure that one out. But there are some aspects of like first-person shooter video games that are very fucking relevant, and like the drone thing is a prime example. Like
all of Grand Theft Auto, maybe.
You remember when like in a Call of Duty game, one of the big perks was like you had to have like a 15 kill streak or some shit to get a little deployable drone that you could like go hide in a corner and like deploy your little bonus drone. And you could like fly him through the warehouse and then like take out the 3 guys over. Right.
I mean, I never knew anything.
And it was all like, oh my god, that is so futuristic and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm literally watching Ukrainians do that on TikTok right now. So like, okay, yeah, maybe Call of Duty doesn't train you for actual, oh my god, my buddy's arm just got blown off. Let me run over here and apply this tourniquet. It can maybe
provide like a little assistance.
But the mindset of the modern battlefield, like, dude, it's here. Like, that kind of shit that was in video games 10 years ago is a goddamn reality now. Like, so, you gotta have a little give and take.
How
on
much,
some
I
of
mean,
that.
how many times like have people compared like Grand Theft Auto to like real life shit and stuff? Like people would say like that video game like corrupted like so many young minds, and it's like
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it didn't. I don't think it corrupted them. I think you've got the many other things. I mean, Grand Theft Auto. It's like you don't have to be. It's kind of like with Red Dead Redemption. It's like you can play that game as a normal person, and the only people you ever really kill are like other fucking criminals and stuff. Like you don't have to. But with Grand Theft Auto, it's like it's all on how you play it. Because like if you're playing the game, well, you're just playing the game. It's literature at that point because it's story driven and all this kind of stuff. Or you can get in a car and drive up on the sidewalk and mow down 150 people. Like that's not the game. Like you can do that. Like you can do that in the real world. Like the choice is yours. So like you're either a psychopath or you're not. Like that's kind of my view on that.
it's very Republican view. You're not saying not.
A very Republican view? I think it's a very liberal view on that, actually. It's
The
personal
liberals more
accountability.
of just like no one's a psycho and everyone's got like good in them and shit. Like I don't know. I don't even know what liberals are up to these days. I'm just thinking like that sounds like a very. That just sounds like a very.
Yeah.
Not, I should have said okay. I should take that back. Not a Republican view. It's a very like dad view of just like you're either a psychopath or you're not. It has nothing to do with the video games. And I'm just like, yeah, that's a very like that's like the real answer right there. That's like the video games don't influence people to do bad things. If anything,
Well, I think it's a non-agenda driven basis. It doesn't make a boogie. It doesn't give you a boogeyman to point to. It's a reality. Well, I'm sounding very pretentious here, but it's just in my view, it's just the reality of a situation.
No one wants to take blame.
Like, dude, what did I just describe to you about the roller coaster tycoon? And that game is rated E for everyone. You see what I'm saying? And that's not a punchline. Like, I'm not trying to be funny there.
It's true though.
But it's all in how you play and interpret stuff. A lot of times.
As a kid playing
like Mario is one of the most violent fucking games there is, dude. You're shooting fireballs at turtles, picking them up, throwing them into each other.
Playing Mario Kart and like you're driving you're driving crazy fast, like crashing into people.
Like, could you imagine if NASCAR actually did like the James Bond oil slick out the back when someone was on your ass at 200 miles an hour and you spun them out and put them into like.
Yeah, no,
dude, that is the most violent shit I have ever seen in my life. But it's because it's a cartoon. People don't think it's it's not a problem.
It's also that's one of the benefits of cartoons is you can get away with so.
But by all means, let's let the 5-year-old play that and let them start to associate that kind of behavior with that activity, like driving, super aggressive, throwing shit out the window. Yeah, let's imprint that, but let's not blame that for any kind of maybe violent thing as they develop or anything like that. Even though we know most behavior is learned in infancy, it's when you're the most impressionable.
Parents not wanting to.
So we'll let them watch that.
To being like, you know what? Maybe we weren't the best parents when this kid was young, and maybe there's some things that maybe we should have done better. It's just people don't want to take blame for anything. Like that shit. Like
your most aggressive kids that like played Mario Kart, like the original growing up on like Super Nintendo and then N64, okay? As those kids progressed into their teen years and started picking up the Grand Theft Auto and all that, they're the ones that immediately started just running over people on the sidewalk. They were like, "Yep, give me the cheat codes. I want all the guns. I want the fastest fucking car.
That was me. Like, whenever I played Grand Theft Auto, I just did that and just went and had fun.
Fuck the story. You just want money and guns, bitch. That's all. I just
want to drive around, launch cars off of cliffs.
You wanted to watch the car go, and then you blew her brains out, took the money back, and got your Ferrari that you did a cheat code for because you don't believe in earning shit. And then you drive off into the sunset, or down the sidewalk and killed another 150. But yeah, going back to that point, it's like it's all in how you play it.
Like, one other thing I thought of...
Let's be philosophical here.
One other thing as we're near the end of this podcast, one other thing I thought of... about when you were talking about your parents... talking talking about your parents and how they thought you might interpret the android and stuff like that, and how parents like have these like weird thoughts and like worries that like media is going to influence their kids in a bad way. Yeah. When I was a kid,
looking back, I just think it was actually like insanely. I don't want to overuse the word, but like, I guess nuanced, because it was like, of all the arguments you would hear of like, no, just explain to your child what the violence and all is, versus like, shelter them, keep it away at all costs. Like that was different. Like I've I never would have thought myself, like as a parent, like to this day, I've never thought of anything that nuanced as far as exposure to things and all that,
But what I was saying, for my generation, the kids born in like the early to mid 90s and late 90s, being raised in the early 2000s, the one big piece of media that brought all of us together, no matter what, was Harry Potter. The movies and the books were like the biggest deal to like every kid of my generation. But there's always those parents that be like, I'm not letting my kid watch or read this because witchcraft is bad and wizardry is evil and satanic horror and shit like that.
We'll save this one for another episode. But I grew up Southern Baptist, so I knew all about the air quotes here evils of Harry Potter, and it was never banned for me. It was actually encouraged. It never caught on. Yeah, I think I was
because they see like it's just a fucking book.
Yeah, my mother's huge. My mother's
like,
huge.
These kids are not. Yeah, these kids are not doing. These kids are not summoning demons. They're like trying to.
No, my mother was
trying to like.
My mother would fight you over a book ban. Like if some outside authority of any kind like told one of her children that they couldn't read this book, or like this book is bad, there would be a goddamn fight. Like there would have been. Like she actually bought me the first Harry Potter book, but I think if I'd have started a little younger, it would have caught on. But I wasn't a big book reader. I'm still not a huge it's got to be really something that really grabs my interest. But I read all the time, but it's just sitting down to just read a novel, a fiction novel. Like it's got to be something. It's most like the Game of Thrones series, Song of Ice and Fire.
I've never read one page of any Game of Thrones books.
It's one of the few books that I'll read in like 2 days, because it's just like
the next.
Like I gotta know. It pulls you in,
I'll actively.
So I understand people that compulsively read all the time. Like I totally get it. Like if you're really into a story, it's nothing for you to read. A huge novel in 2 or 3 days.
The next book I plan on reading. That I really, really want. I'm so excited about is Tim Dillon's book. His book about boomers. So I want to learn more about. I want to learn more about my parents' generation. How much they really screwed us over.
No, I want to read that too. That I didn't know he had a book coming out.
It's called.
That dude can paint a picture.
It's called.
He can
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Like this is on the podcast. This is the official title of the book. Death by Boomers, how the worst generation destroyed the planet but first a child.
That's funny.
And I'm just like, dude, I'm just like, damn, did my parents and grandparents like really screw us all over that bad?
Yeah.
In ways that I have no idea about, and that I'm just too lazy and I don't want to work hard to like be successful.
There's definitely things, and there's a lot I struggle with because like so much. I feel like I was very adequately prepared for a system that was dying. Like that's very hard to convey in a sense, because it's like there's really, I mentioned earlier about like an opinion that it's like no one likes it because it doesn't give you a boogeyman. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you can't really blame anyone.
No, it's
like
true.
Any one person, because it's like parents do the best they can. They try.
And my parents, for sure, my parents divorced.
If they're
when I
there
was
and trying, you can honestly say
my parents were divorced when I was 5, and like both my parents are like fucking amazing. Like they've my dad, my parents had divorced. My mom had primary custody. My dad, we saw him every weekend. He lived in around Buffalo for about 5 years afterwards, and then moved back down towards New York, where he's been ever since. But it's just always been in my life, no matter what. I'm gonna talk to him probably in a couple hours. Yeah. He's out with my brother right now. But yeah, like even like Ben's like definitely like this week, like I've had like autistic episodes where I just get angry and bitter and like just rant to my mom and be like, I'm broken, I hate it, and like this sucks. It's like, well, Brandon, these are like the choices you make. And I'm like, yeah, but this is bullshit. And like I know people whose parents just give them money and like this is bullshit. It just sounded like such a little bit.
Helped me out a lot. Like
and they've helped. Oh my god, they've helped me out so much.
And
they've helped me out so goddamn much.
I mean, it sucks being in your mid-30s. Like when I first moved up here, like that was I think it was the year I turned 35, and it was just like what happened, dude? Like and it's. Like,
I think now I just look back and I look back in like 10 years of just like
some of this, like a good chunk of the situation you're in is your fucking fault. Like it's. Like, there are outside factors, but, like...
It's like, until we always take we can never truly change. It's like when you go into... It's like when you go into rehab for, like, addictions, but you're going in being, like, you're in here for other people. But you're not truly in
You gotta be there for yourself,
Until you're truly there for just you, it's never gonna work.
Ain't nothing gonna stick.
It's never gonna work.
Stick. Yeah, I've been...
and that's what, like, my therapist, like, any single one of my therapists, like, from childhood to now, is just, like... Like, I clearly remember going to a therapist. I visited a therapist a few times in L.A. And I went in and I was just so mad because I was like, my computer's fucking up on me and I can't afford a new one. This sucks. And she's like, well, that's a situation you put yourself in and, like, you have to deal with the consequences.
Right.
And I just yelled at her. I'm like, fuck you.
No, I get that. I'll I got no problem saying it. I've been hospitalized twice. I'm not ashamed of it.
There's no shame in us all struggling mentally.
But like to what you said, you got to be receptive to it. And it's like the first time it was like, I need to be here. But it just, it really didn't click because ultimately it turned into just like, hey, just like, I want to go home now. And they're like, well, no, you can't. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, I realize now that I feel trapped somewhere and this is not helpful at all. And the second time I went, I thought it was going to be some outpatient stuff, and it ended up being like, because I was like, that's how like aggressive I was when I went in. So they're like, yeah, no, you're going to stay here for a little bit. And so then it was like, from the moment they took me in, it was like, okay, I'm just going to like, it took me like a day, but I was like, I'm just going to straighten up and just say what I've got to get the fuck out of here. And ended up finally getting that outpatient. And then my insurance, good old American insurance, decided that one day that I had had enough. And that I was
as you usually do. Be like, we've let you suck on this tip long enough.
Despite phone calls from like 2 nurse practitioners, 3 counselors, like an actual like doctor, like
be like,
doctor,
hey, you know
psychiatrist in the office.
This is too much money for us, and I have to pay for my $1 million.
So yeah, like, but by then I was like, the irony there was like I was actually felt like I was starting to make some progress, and I got ripped out of it, thrown right back into my high stress job, and ultimately led to me moving up here and all that. But anyway, we're running out of time.
That's a good note to end on the podcast.
We want to end on that pain and misery. Okay,
pain it. We're comedians. That's all our lives are about at the time.
God. How about we end on a disgusting joke?
Perfect.
Okay. We'll tie it back to the Super Bowl. This is very disgusting. Do you think that after all the celebrations later that night when he comes in Taylor, he yells touchdown Travis?
I would like to imagine he would. I want to imagine Taylor's cool enough to let him do that.
Yeah. But anyway, if you think that's too gross, don't worry. It is. You're not the problem. It's not you. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. The T-Swifties will catch that punchline. I don't know if you will, but...
Nah, only if this podcast ever becomes big, they'll care. Unless it's Unless we're like Joe Rogan level, I don't think
It's
the
me.
Swifties
Hi, I'm
care.
the problem. Anyway, all right.
Well, Caleb, thank you for your very first time on my podcast. This was interesting.
Yes. Hopefully
This was
not the
great.
last. Hopefully
Definitely not the last. I've
We've
got
got
to
so
keep
much
this.
more to talk about.
Oh, for sure. Thank you. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Folks,
Same
thanks for
here.
listening to this episode of Imagination Fun Time, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.